Well, that feels like an opportunity missed for Norwich City. 3-1 defeat at the King Power Stadium at the hands of Leicester City. Leicester struggling over the past 6 or 7 games. They have thrown away their seemingly unassailable lead at the top of the table, and now there is a real battle for those top 2 positions in the Championship between Leicester, Leeds and Ipswich Town. So a big win for Leicester in terms of that fight, and Dewsbury Hall said in his post-match interview that was a cup final today for them, and it shows just how big that win is. But it still feels like a huge opportunity for Norwich that we've just gone about incredibly passively and not taken with both hands. Leicester, as I say, have been struggling, and there was pressure on them to win that game today. It would have been disastrous if they'd have lost. And after the goal from Gabby Sarah relatively early on in the game, Leicester fans must have been fearing the worst. And I think from that point on, it was incredibly disappointing for Norwich. Look, we looked like we were happy to sit behind the ball and soak up pressure. We get the goal, and that sort of methodology just intensified. It was men against boys for large parts of that game. We, other than the goal and a half a chance through Jack Stacey in that second half, we really didn't threaten, and that's incredibly disappointing, and particularly disappointing because we've seen how good we can be and how attacking we can be and how fluid we can be, particularly at home. I think it has been the away form that has let us down so often this season. But the recent performance to Stoke, I know Stoke and Leicester are worlds apart in terms of quality, and it's far easier to beat Stoke than it is Leicester. But even in those 2 games, the performance levels were incredibly different. It felt against Stoke like we were, constantly chasing the next goal, and we weren't settling for any less than what we got. And today it just felt like, even when we were 1-0 ahead, it felt like we were almost willing to take a point, and that feels incredibly disappointing. I look back even to the last loss before today was that 3-1 defeat to Middlesbrough, and that probably shouldn't have been a defeat. There was the very controversial red card in that. I think you probably have to go all the way back to Blackburn at the end of February, that game where we drew 1-1, to find a performance as stodgy and as uninspiring as today. And I'm not really sure where it's come from, because the performance against Plymouth was far from our best, but we ground it out and we created chances, and that was pleasing. The previous couple of games, 5-0 against Rotherham, 3-0 against Stoke, again lesser grade opposition, but today was really, really poor. And in a week where you've got Leicester on the Monday and Ipswich Town on the Saturday, it felt like a nice bit of prep work for Saturday's huge game, and a game in which to really set a statement to the division and to Ipswich, and inspire our players. I don't think the injury early on to Jakob Sorensen helped things. I must say, I just, when I saw the lineup, I thought that Sorensen was starting probably to rest Duffy for Saturday's East Anglian derby. I suspect he will be manhandling Kiefer Moore for a lot of that game. But Sorensen's quality on the ball, I think, far outweighs that of Duffy. And Duffy came on, and you could tell he was out of rhythm and gave away a couple of really sloppy passes and pretty late challenges in there, and his performance was poor. The opening goal from Dewsbury Hall, Gibson's out of position, Stacey's out of position. Yes, it is a bit of quality from Leicester, but disappointing to just not get your structure absolutely sound, because you need to do that at all times against the Leicester side. The second goal from them, from Mavididi, again a real bit of quality from Mavididi. He's an exceptional player at this level, but it was inevitable. It was always going to happen. The amount of possession that Leicester had, they were going to create a chance, and that chance came, and Mavididi tucked home. And even from then, there's still over half an hour left in the game. Norwich threw nothing at it. It's almost acceptable to go about in a defensive fashion in this game at the start, but hopefully you would think that once you saw that that wasn't working and hasn't worked for the majority of this season away from home, that things would change. And yes, I know our bench is light and there's not a huge amount of option on that bench, but you would hope that even structurally you would try and change things, and that didn't happen from David Wagner. Vardy scored late on. The game had already been, we'd lost the game already at that point. So it's difficult. It was a really deeply uninspiring performance, and one that hasn't filled me with optimism going into Saturday. But, and I think this is what you need to hold on to, are the contrast between home and away performances this season, for whatever reason, and it is baffling, I think, for most fans to try and work out why there are such polar opposites, not only in results, but the way in which we set out as well, are so different. And I think you would hope that the performance on Saturday is far better than the one we saw today. Sargent was isolated. Science never really got going. I thought Nunez went missing, despite the brilliant bit of play for the Gabi Sarri goal. And it does seem as if we are quickly becoming the kings of set pieces in this division. I suspect the team lineup will be very similar come Saturday, with Duffy in that centre back pairing alongside Gibson. It's just a shame that we didn't throw more at this, and we weren't a little bit braver. I think if we'd have lost 3-1 and we'd created lots of chances and Leicester had just outclassed us, then you could probably accept the defeat. But to go down in this manner just feels bitterly disappointing, because we know what we're capable of, and Wagner knows what we're capable of, and we have far more chance in winning games when we are on the front foot. We've got so much more quality in the attacking areas than we do defensively, and to invite pressure on against a side like Leicester when they've got Daka and Mavididi and Dewsbury Hall and Vardy, that is not a recipe for success, and unfortunately we've seen that today. Look, it's the East Anglian derby this weekend. All eyes now turn to that. I think if we get a positive result in that, then we will quickly forget about this result. And Norwich are still within the top 6. Coventry do have games in hand on us, and if they were to win both of them, they would skip above us. The same has to be said about Preston and Hull. So probably not in the driving seat, but you would rather points on the board than games in hand at this stage in the season. Get Ipswich out of the way, hopefully get a positive result there, and then the fixture list starts to look somewhat easier. But bitterly disappointing today. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, and enjoy what's left of your Easter weekend. Thanks very much, everyone. Bye-bye.